Okay, so get ready because today we are diving headfirst into this wild world of ET contact.
Ooh, diving head first. I like it.
Right, like full immersion today.
Like,
But specifically, we are tackling this question. Could your personality, could you be the right type to encounter extraterrestrials?
okay, now that is a fascinating question.
Right. And we are pulling this straight from a blog post called ET Contact and Personality Types by Bright Garlic.
Okay, catchy title.
Right. So they get into all this stuff about how a personality might make us more likely to have these experiences.
Okay, so like certain personality types are more prone to ET encounters.
Yeah, that's the idea we're going to be unpacking today. And what I found really interesting right off the bat is that the author kicks things off by talking about their ET friend, Dude.
Dude, yeah, quote, dude.
All right, I'm intrigued already. And Dude has this, well, pretty simple view of humanity. You're either aggressive or non-aggressive.
Wow, that's one way to put it. It's a little, like, broad, don't you think?
Yeah.
Categorize billions of people into just two buckets.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about how someone or something observing us from, well, who knows where, might be interpreting all of our, complexities and differences.
It really does.
Like, what would they even make of all the different ways we label ourselves?
Well, and that's where things get even more interesting, because the author contrasts this very simplified view, this aggressive versus non-aggressive, with something many of us might be more familiar with, the Myers-Briggs type indicator.
Oh, the MBTI.
Yes.
So for anyone who hasn't encountered it before, MBTI basically categorizes personality based on like 4 different dimensions, right?
Yeah.
Introversion, extroversion, sensing, intuition, all that.
Right, and it gets into how we direct our energy, how we process info, how we make decisions. So it gets much more nuanced than just aggressive versus non-aggressive, right?
Exactly. And I think that's crucial to this whole discussion because we're not just talking about external behavior here, right? It's about our internal world too. Thoughts, feelings, motivations, all of it.
Absolutely.
And the author's theory is that certain personality types, or maybe temperaments is a better word here.
Okay, temperaments, I like that.
Yeah, so certain temperaments might be more like tuned in to the possibility of ET contact.
Tuned in what way?
Okay, so they give some really interesting examples.
Okay, hit me with it.
So like the imaginative type, for example, always exploring possibilities, thinking beyond our world.
Okay, I can see that.
Or the seeking type, constantly searching for something more, something beyond the everyday.
Right, like always looking for answers, pushing boundaries.
Exactly. And the author argues that these individuals with these temperaments, they might just be more open to unusual experiences, maybe including encounters with the unknown.
So you're saying if you're the type who loves a good sci-fi novel
Hmm.
or spends their weekends, stargazing, you might have a higher chance of spotting a UFO.
Well, that's what we're exploring today, isn't it? I mean, there's a part of me, that little kid who still wishes she could believe in Santa, that kind of wants it to be true.
Yeah, I get that.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we do need to lay out all the possibilities, right? And the author does present a few different scenarios for how ET contact might play out, and it's not all about personality.
Okay, so what else is on the table? Yeah, so it's not as simple as just like, who's going to see a UFO first, right?
Right.
The author lays out 6 different scenarios.
6.
6, ranging from like everybody gets contacted to only specific people, maybe with certain genetic markers. It's a pretty wide range.
Wow, so they're really covering all the bases.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. We're dealing with a lot of unknowns here.
For sure.
But I do have to say, the author definitely seems to lean towards one idea in particular.
Okay, which one?
They seem to think that it might be introverted, non-aggressive individuals, especially those with those specific temperaments we talked about earlier, who are most likely to experience contact.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like, if ET is looking for someone to, share a cosmic cup of tea with, they might not pick the loudest person at the party.
Right, it's more about like a quiet connection, maybe even a shared sense of curiosity about the universe.
Exactly. Like, imagine certain personality traits acting as a sort of beacon,
Yeah.
drawing in those who resonate on a similar frequency.
Okay, I'm with you.
And this is actually where the author's own experience comes into play.
Oh, how so?
Well, they mention that they themselves are an INFJ on the Myers-Briggs scale.
Okay, and for those who haven't memorized the entire MBTI matrix.
Right, INFJ is often associated with, like, introspection, empathy, a deep desire to understand the meaning of life,
Yeah, I'm getting like old soul vibes.
Exactly. And it's interesting to think about those traits in the context of while reaching across the stars to connect with another intelligent species.
It's true. There are some interesting parallels there. But before we go too deep down that rabbit hole, I think it might be helpful to back up a little bit, just in case anyone listening isn't super familiar with MBTI.
Good idea.
So, as we mentioned before, it's basically a system built on these four key dimensions, right? So you've got introversion versus extroversion.
How you direct your energy.
Right. Then there's sensing versus intuition.
How you process information.
Thinking versus feeling.
How you make decisions.
And finally, judging versus perceiving.
How you approach the outside world.
Exactly.
And the really cool thing is, the author actually encourages readers to take the MBTI for themselves.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, not necessarily to get a definitive answer on the whole ET contact thing, but just as a way to kind of understand their own inclinations and tendencies a bit better.
I can get behind that. It's always fun to do a little self-reflection. Although I will say whenever I take those personality tests, I always wonder if I'm answering honestly or just like projecting the version of myself I wish I was.
Oh, totally. I think we've all been there.
Like, am I really an introvert or do I just want people to think I'm a mysterious lone wolf?
Uh-huh, right. But, that actually brings up a really important point about these systems in general.
What's that?
They're really just frameworks for understanding. They're not meant to be these, like, ironclad definitions.
Right, because we're all way more complicated than that.
Exactly. We're all this mix of different qualities and contradictions constantly evolving and changing.
It's like trying to capture lightning in a bottle. You might get a glimpse of its brilliance, but the full essence, it's always going to be kind of elusive.
I love that analogy. It's so true. And the author actually touches on themselves by highlighting other examples of these typing systems throughout history. Like, remember the ancient Greek concept of the four humors or the Chinese zodiac?
Oh, right.
These systems weren't designed to put people in boxes. They were meant to offer a new language for understanding the human experience in all its messy glory.
So we've gone pretty deep on personality types, temperaments, all that.
We really have.
But it feels like there's another layer here, something the author's hinting at beyond these categories.
Yet you're picking up on something really important. It's not just about what we are, introvert, extrovert, imaginative, logical. It's about who we are at our core.
Okay, I like that. So how does our inner self play into all of this possibility of ET contact?
Well, think back to the author's main goal here. They want to help people develop get this, the psycho-spiritual traits that they believe are key.
Psycho-spiritual. Okay, now we're getting kind of cosmic.
Right. But it's about recognizing that we're not just physical beings.
Right.
We're also beings of energy, consciousness, maybe even something beyond what we currently understand.
Okay, I'm following you.
So it's about cultivating that inner world, our empathy, compassion, our connection to something bigger than ourselves.
So it's less about knowing all the right answers about the universe and more about asking the right questions. Being open to those possibilities, approaching the unknown with a sense of wonder.
Exactly. And that's where this whole ET contact thing takes on a whole other dimension,
I'm starting to see it.
If we come at it from a place of fear, aggression, if we see ourselves as separate from everything else, we might just miss a chance for real connection.
Makes sense.
But if we approach it with curiosity, openness, that willingness to learn and evolve.
Who knows what could happen?
Exactly. We open ourselves up to a whole universe of possibilities.
It's like that saying, right? What you seek is seeking you. Maybe it's not about sending out a specific personality signal, but about cultivating that internal frequency that resonates with the universe in a way that draws meaningful connection to us.
I love that. And that brings us to our final thought for today. If ETs are out there observing us, maybe even choosing who to connect with, what are they really looking for? Is it possible they're seeking out souls on a similar journey? Souls committed to growth, to expanding their consciousness, embracing the interconnectedness of everything. It's something to think about as you navigate your own path of discovery.
Lots to ponder, for sure. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but we want to hear from you. What do you think? Does your personality make you more likely to encounter ETs? Head over to our website, leave a comment. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, keep looking up.